Well, hello again from here at Stamford Bridge, and not for the first time this season. I'm walking up and down this aisle to the backdrop of lawnmowers in the Newcastle defeat. And we've just spent a little bit of time downstairs there with Eddie Howe. And I want to get to this point straight away because it's fresh in my mind. And you guys might be reading Eddie's comments, and I think judging by the mood on Twitter, I don't know, maybe you'll disagree with him. Eddie thought Newcastle played well enough. He was very disappointed with the goals conceded, but he thought the team did okay. Now, I can see where he's coming from in the context of, again, you know, we're sat in the press box there over my shoulder, writing your reports, what you are doing, you're so invested in the result and the outcome of the game. Now, I honestly thought for the first 10 minutes in the second half, if you had asked me to pick a winner at that point, I would have gone for Newcastle. I thought the equaliser just before half time, we'll go back and look at the goals in more detail because I think that's important to how the game eventually played out. I thought the equaliser just before half time was just about deserved, just about on the balance of that first half. Now, why do I say that? I think, in honesty, it was two pretty average teams out there tonight. Perhaps it was reflective of their respective league positions. Perhaps Newcastle versus Chelsea sounds far grander than it actually is. You know, maybe that is where both sides are at. I don't think a lot of Chelsea have made that much clear. I thought again there tonight, they weren't very good, and they've scored 3 goals. We'll come to more of that in just a bit. But yeah, I can see what Eddie meant in that 10-minute period at the start of the second half. I was saying to my colleague Ian Ladyman sat next to me, and he was saying the same back to me. Newcastle win this game. I thought they were on the front foot. I thought they looked dangerous. I thought there was times in the first half where, while Alexander Isak's shot was there first on target, I still think they saw enough of the ball at times, and the possession stats back that up. They still saw enough of the ball to suggest that there might be something in the game for them. That coupled with the fact that the home crowd here were nervy. You know, they came into the back of this game, and I read the local Evening Standard on the way here on the tube. I read all the press around it. I was able to get a flavour of the mood music around it, an opposition team. And yeah, it wasn't good around Chelsea. You know, the supporters here last weekend, they were chanting for Jose Mourinho to be manager. They were ready to turn there tonight, and that is why I honestly think for Newcastle it was an opportunity missed. When they got it back to 1-1, as I said, repeating myself to a degree, I thought they were the team who could have gone on to win the game, but for a little bit of better care in attack, but for a little bit of better quality. But ultimately, what has proved their undoing tonight, because they've still scored 2 goals, it's been the defence. And the 3 goals they've gifted Chelsea, for me, has absolutely killed them. Now, and that tallies with what Eddie has just said as well. You know, he went stronger in terms of how well they played, but he also went just as strong in terms of how bad the defending was for the goals. You know, he used the word gifted, and I would go along with that. To go back to the first goal, Newcastle started the game well. They really did. I thought inside the first 5 minutes, I was surprised to a degree because, and again, we need to talk about this, because I said coming into the game that the best plan of action for Newcastle was to do what they did against Wolves last weekend. That is to accept the current limitations. I don't think the current personnel at the moment are actually very good on the ball. They give it away far too easily. Sean Longstaff didn't have a good night in that regard. 1, 2, 3, 4 hospital passes at times. He looks like he needs to come out of the side. He wasn't the only guilty party. Sven Botman as well. But to go back to that, I thought in the first 5 minutes they started well enough. Fabian Schär had a couple of nice moments. They were passing through the lines. And I thought, okay, they've tweaked the game plan here. They've come here with a bit of confidence to have more of the ball and play more on the front foot. I didn't necessarily agree with that tactic. I thought they should have just sat in all night, give the ball to Chelsea and adopted exactly the same game plan as they did against Wolves. Now, on reflection, did we perhaps maybe think too much of what they did against Wolves? Was it more the fact that Wolves were missing their 3 best forwards? Pedro Neto got injured in the first half. Did Newcastle have it a little bit too easy and we perhaps elevated that performance in terms of how good it actually was? But nonetheless, they come here tonight, first 5 minutes, okay. Then they concede that opening goal. Now, we'll talk a little bit later about Anthony Gordon's injury and how serious that actually looks. But I think Gordon's injured really, really early on, because Chelsea break down the line. Again, I've nudged my colleague, and I've commented, and I've said, Gordon's not tracking his runner there. That's really uncharacteristic. In front of watching Gareth Southgate, what's wrong with him? He hasn't tracked Malo Gusto. Gusto then gets it and exposed Dan Burn, puts the cross in. What is going on between Martin Dubravka and Sven Botman? I really don't know. Is it a miscommunication? Has Dubravka even shouted? If not, he should have done. Has Botman ignored him? Has he not had the call? Either way, even if it's a shout or no shout, Botman's made a decision to make that clearance. The connection and the conviction has got to be far better. It goes straight to Cole Palmer. Palmer's shot then goes in off Nicholas Jackson. That's Newcastle 1-0 down. Now, even then, they managed to find a way back into the game. Just touch on Newcastle's goal. Bruno Guimaraes does brilliantly, wins it, little trip through to Isaac. It's the one real moment of quality they've got in the final third at that point before half time. Isaac, as we know he can do, in that position, that's his perfect position, the Thierry Henry domain. When he gets the ball, opens his body, manipulates the yard for a shot, finds the bottom corner. Okay, great, they've got themselves in a good position there. But the warning signs were already there in terms of how, because Newcastle saw a lot of the ball, but they also kept on giving it away. They also, at the back, they didn't have that same level of protection. You know, the midfield three weren't offering what they were last week in terms of sort of sitting in, allied to the two white men. Anthony Gordon was a real problem for Newcastle in the first half. He was clearly injured. He was offering no protection to Dan Burn. I know why he wanted to stay on. Gareth Southgate was here. I did the interview with him at the weekend in which he spoke fantastically. He knew tonight was a big night in terms of that England audition up against Cole Palmer. He wanted to stay on. Eddie Howe just said to us there that he didn't quite know what the problem was, just a pain which came on from nowhere. Of course, he wanted to run it off. He had the ball. He had one or two little decent moments where he put a nice ball around the corner for Alexander Isak, but he clearly wasn't moving right. You know, he was physically and mentally affected by it. Even his body language changed. Eddie Howe sent a physio around to talk to him at one point to try and get a handle on what was wrong with him. He then brought him over, switched sides just to be closer to him. We could see the dialogue. Say, are you okay? Well, what's wrong? Eventually, in the 36th minute, he's on the end of a challenge, which is a foul. The problem didn't come from that, but that's enough. You know, his night is over from that point on. But it left Dan Burn terribly exposed because he didn't have that protection he would normally have from Gordon runners, as he said in the interview, just as hard that way as he does that way. I'm amazed Newcastle didn't actually concede more during that period. Anyway, it's 1-0. They get 1-1 at half time. They come out in the second half, and like I say, I thought the start of the second half well enough. They then concede the second goal, and it's Cole Palmer who scores it. And in the build-up to it, Dan Burn slices one horribly out of play for a throw-in. But then from the throw-in, you get set and Cole Palmer gets the ball, and if you look back at the replay, he stood almost in a quadrant of four. There's 4 Newcastle players around him, and he, for some reason, is absolutely, you know, he's in perfect isolation in that pocket between 4 black and white jerseys. He gets the ball out of his feet. Sven Botman goes to close him, by which point it's too late, and he finds the bottom corner. Now, from that point on, I thought Newcastle didn't offer as much as they perhaps done previously. Again, you know, I just think back to my own mindset in terms of writing the report. I'm pretty confident from that point onwards that it's going to be a Chelsea victory. And then Newcastle make some changes. You know, I thought they improved for Louis Miley coming on. I thought they definitely improved for Elliot Anderson coming on. But then that improvement is undone by, you know, that terrible goal to give away. Sven Botman is too slow. He's too slow in the little duel with Nicholas Jackson over on the far side there. Fabian Schär is too weak in his nutmeg by Mudryk. Martin Dubravka comes out, doesn't do it. It's a difficult situation. He's exposed. It's in his box. Does he foul him? But again, doesn't do enough to impact the situation. Newcastle have conceded another soft, sloppy goal right through the heart of the midfield, right through the heart of the defence. And that point onwards, you know, it's probably game over. Yes, Jacob Murphy scores an absolutely wonderful goal, and then we'll come to the merit marks. Jacob Murphy scores a wonderful goal in the 90th minute there to give hope of a draw. But again, you know, they were just lacking that real quality. Like I said, they saw 56% of the ball, and at one point it was even 60-40 the possession count. But they just don't have the personnel there at the minute to do much with it. And, you know, in the midfield, you know, I touched on it earlier, I didn't, but Sean Longstaff is he's playing every week now. And to be fair to him, he is playing at a point whereby if there were any other options available, he would probably come out of the side. I think Sean is struggling. Bruno Guimaraes there tonight. He's at the moment of quality for the goal, but does he really step up and control the game? Did he really have a kick apart from that? His night was almost summed up by late on there. Cole Palmer came and just took the ball off him when he was sleeping on it. Perhaps there weren't many options in front of him. I don't know. I don't think Bruno had a great night. But at the back, you know, the one player who really struggled was Sven Botman, and you've got to think that the knee injury, and we asked Eddie a lot about it a couple of weeks ago, has that knee injury, that ligament damage affected him? Was it the wrong decision not to get surgery? Because he just does not look like the same player, and the physical impact of it is almost affecting him mentally now. The decision making for the first goal, he seems so shorn of confidence at times, and that's having a knock-on effect on the others around him as well. Just defensively there tonight, I thought Newcastle were really, really poor, and ultimately that has been their undoing, because I said earlier, you know, they have still scored 2 goals. Now, on a newsy front, Anthony Gordon's injury, Eddie said it didn't necessarily look good at this stage. He was in a lot of pain. There was a fear that yeah, it could perhaps be serious, but they won't know. Again, you know, all he's feeling at the moment is a pain. They don't know what it is. I suppose to that end, it's either going to be something or it's going to be nothing. We hope it's the, what was I going to say, the form or the latter there. We hope it's the latter, nothing. But yeah, just you know, bearing in mind Eddie Howe is a manager who says, yeah, with the great regularity, it doesn't look too serious. For him to admit there tonight that something could be serious, I would say that's probably a concern. Elsewhere, other news, Harvey Barnes, he missed out tonight with a minor hamstring strain, hasn't trained all week. He felt that last week against Wolves, and this just comes back to the personnel and the bodies available. And last summer's recruitment, to a degree, you know, Tino Livramento played there tonight and I thought he did okay, but where's Harvey Barnes? It's unfortunate, it's an injury. Where's Harvey Barnes? Sandro Tonali, you know, Lewis Hall couldn't play tonight against his parent club, but he wouldn't have played anyway. You know, that summer recruitment, I've said this from the start, I didn't do enough to impact on that starting 11 in key positions where it had to do. But you know, anyway, I don't think that was the reason they lost here tonight. I think it will come back more to defenders who just aren't in a good place right now. You know, Sven Botman in particular in the midfield that just clearly isn't functioning. It functioned last week against Wolves, or so we thought. Was that more to do with Wolves? I'm thinking on reflection, you know, that I think we perhaps read too much into that victory. For all of that, there's a lot of anger about on social media. I didn't think they were shocking. I didn't think they were terrible, but probably could have got a result because Chelsea aren't much better really. In the end, it's, you know, I think Cole Palmer with that moment of real quality, and which has given them that 2-1 lead that's probably ultimately just about settled it. Now the Merit Stars, there's not loads of competition here. You know, I was chatting to a couple of friends during the game. I said, "What's your thoughts on Merit Stars?" Here's mine, and they replied with 3 Palmer, 2 Mudryk, 1 Fernandes. So no, this is a reflection for Newcastle United viewers. So here we go. I think 3 stars, it goes to Jacob Murphy. I honestly thought when he came on, there was more purpose just in terms of actually putting balls into the box. Newcastle saw a lot of the ball and just didn't penetrate enough before that. At least he put crosses in. Yes, they weren't always accurate, but I thought he fizzed a couple of great balls through the box for no takers. I thought Murphy did okay, and then he scores the brilliant goal at the end. It's a 3 stars, but you know, I'm not a 3 stars with bells and whistles on at all. The 2 stars, they go to Tino Livramento. You know, in terms of endeavour, he got fouled repeatedly tonight, and I thought that spoke a little bit to the threat he posed. I thought he was a threat. I thought he had a go. I thought there was a lot of endeavour. I thought Livramento did okay. And the 1 star, well, who does that go to? We have been bounced on this man. It's probably got to go to Alexander Isak in a not competitive field at all. That's, you know, Isak 6.5 really in terms of the merit ratings. His goal was brilliant. Other than that, I thought he was starved of service. He had 1 or 2 nice little moments where he threatened to do something, but ultimately a fairly quiet night on the whole for him. I would actually be tempted, you know, to bump Elliot Anderson up in the conversation next. I thought at least when he came on, he got on the ball and offered a little bit more composure. But no, on the whole, it's a disappointing night. How can it not be for Newcastle? You know, a game opportunity missed for me, because they've come here tonight on the back of what should have been a little bit of a template against Wolves, a little bit of a confidence restorer, and the confidence was very quickly shattered and undone by the nature and the sloppiness of the goals they gave away. It's a game for me they should have taken points from, but they now go into the game down at Man City on Saturday, and you can't really hold much hope for that. If you look at it, and probably are Newcastle now destined to finish mid-table, you know, is that there tonight? Is that what they are? If they're going to continue to concede goals like that, and if they do find themselves out of the FA Cup going into national break, and all of a sudden, you know, they've got their international players. Kieran Trippier can't go with England, he's injured. Anthony Gordon's almost certainly going to miss out on a call-up because of injury. Callum Wilson, the England player, you know, he's injured. No, Harvey Barnes, an Englishman, but not in the England reckoning, you know, he's out injured again now. And you know, this feels like this past week almost 1 step forward, and rather than 1 back, potentially 2 steps back, given the, like I say, the nature of the defending coupled with the injuries in a game that should have probably taken taken something from. So yeah, guys, my full player ratings are online at Mail Online. I'll put a link in the description below to them. My colleague Ian Ladyman, he was on the match report tonight. I'll put the description in the link below to that. Thank you again for watching, and yeah, I'll be back at the end of the week looking ahead to Man City. I'm down at Man City as well. Now, please leave your comments below the line on this, because you know, when I do these videos and I wander around, you're still sort of wrestling with your thoughts, and I watch them back and I take sometimes, you know, new ideas from the comments. Like, oh, I wish I'd said that. It's not easy when you're half an hour after full time trying to get all your thoughts and across on these videos at times. So the comments, and I'll try to reply to as many as I possibly can. Not tomorrow, I'm going to Cheltenham, but I will do after that. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please hit like, comment, as I said, and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, take care. Bye bye.